So, it's a special day for us on the Dawkins and Duke podcast. We have our first return guest, Mr. Jon Scheyer. Thanks for coming back onto the podcast.
Am I the first returning guest you've had?
You are the first returner.
Well, I feel honored.
Yeah.
All it took is being the next head coach, and 40 years it took. So I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. You probably wouldn't have been back yet if you weren't the head coach in waiting. I'm kidding.
No, you're not. You're not kidding.
Yeah, I'm not. But I mean, I guess congrats are in order. Being named head coach in waiting. So congratulations.
Thank you so much, Dre. It's been a fun couple of months, and excited to keep this thing. First of all, have a heck of a year, but then obviously keep this thing going, and it should be an amazing challenge, but also a great opportunity.
Absolutely. So talk us through a little bit, like, what's that feeling like, when you first get the news? I guess, do you get it from Coach or do you get it from Dr. White? Like, where's that news, where it first hit you from?
Well, you're 0 for 2. It was from neither of them.
Oh, geez. Okay.
I got a call from Nina King,
from
our
Nina.
athletic director,
Sense, yeah.
and obviously she was named AD a couple weeks before, and after going through the process, after having about 3 Zoom calls, got a call from her on a Tuesday afternoon. I'll never forget it. I was on my porch and saw Nina's name pop up, and I knew it was either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
And so, but I told Nina afterwards, I said, thank you for giving me the best call I've ever received in my life. And she told me they selected me to be the next men's basketball coach. My wife was upstairs with my daughter, Marcel. So I ran upstairs, told her, and it was a pretty special feeling I'll probably never forget.
Yeah. I'm sure dinner tasted pretty good.
Dinner did taste. I don't know if I even had dinner that night. I'm not even sure.
So, I mean, do you feel like life's changed at all since then, or is it still just kind of, you're doing your thing, since obviously we still have a year before Coach leaves? Well,
naturally there's planning that goes into place, as in terms of recruiting, planning ahead for, to make sure when April comes and this, hopefully we're cutting down the nets we start planning it, for the next season where we're already off and running, and there's you cut out the time where with uncertainty, not knowing your team, not knowing staff and all those things, so we have a chance to already build and move in that direction, which is exciting. But frankly, the thing, and you hit on this, but the first job that I have is to be the best assistant coach I can possibly be this year, because we have a special team. We feel we have a team that can win the whole thing and be pretty special. So that's first and foremost. But obviously there have been some other demands, and I'm glad that that's the case, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. What was conversations with you and Coach in and around the time where you know he's retiring, but you don't know who the next head coach is going to be, and then after you're named head coach, like, are your conversations different now, or how's that been?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I'll tell you what, the relationship that I have with Coach is incredible, and it's one of the reasons that I feel like this is such a unique situation and opportunity, is because of how supportive he's been throughout the process, but more importantly, since then. And so just having him as a resource, just to talk things through. Obviously his experience is, nobody has the experience that he's had. And the open lines of communication both ways, right? I mean, we've talked, I've wanted to make it very clear to him, just because this has happened, again, first priority is the team this year, the guys we have on our roster, and we want to send them off in a special way.
Absolutely.
And so, and then obviously, he wants our program. One of the biggest concerns he had when he felt this was time to retire was continuing the sustained success that we've had in our program, and doing it this way, we feel we can continue to build and not have a drop off. And so his support, his communication has been incredibly helpful for me as we've dove into this.
Yeah. And, knowing you personally, obviously, I know the competitor you are, and, how intense you are about competing and winning, and especially about Duke basketball. So how do you how do you balance, the pressure that's going to come from the outside, being the Duke basketball head coach versus, the pressure you're obviously going to put on yourself to be as good as you can be?
Well, I think you know me well enough, and hopefully others who are close to me feel this way. But they know, the outside people aren't more competitive than I am about myself, about the team that I'm on. And so, it's following coach. A lot of people have said to me, well, those are big shoes to fill. I'm not trying to fill his shoes.
Right.
We're not trying to do that. Coach K is once in a lifetime. He's the best coach to ever have done it. And we're continuing to build on the legacy that he started, but we're doing it blazing our own path and our own trail. And that's because, I've promised myself from day one of this, I'm going to follow my instincts and be me. I'm not going to try to be Coach K. And part of being me is being ultra competitive. And so that's, we're going to recruit competitive players. Our staff is competitive. And that's really a big part of what Duke basketball is about. So, whatever has been said there, there's been plenty of things that are said about me as a player. I'm not going to go through them right now, by the way, but I didn't worry about them then, and I'm not going to worry about them now.
Absolutely. So, not going to get a guarantee.
Unless it's the Dawkins podcast. Unless I'm getting killed on the Dawkins podcast, then I'm going to have to, call up, the producers there.
No, you're good now. I mean, you're a two-time guest, so, once you get to 2 times, you're nothing but good with us here.
Perfect.
So we're not going to get a guarantee of, 1,100 wins and 5 national championships over 4 years from you.
Maybe if you invite me back a third time, you can get that guarantee, but not yet.
All right, we'll have to set that up. Got some other coaching news this summer. Guy you hate, one of your worst friends on the planet, Nolan Smith, is now an assistant coach. So how upset were you when he got named an assistant coach?
Very upset. Yeah. He's but in all seriousness, he's worked his butt off. He's had great experience. Being special assistant director of basketball operations, he's just got a great feel for the game, a great feel for people. And so honestly, it's once he was in that spot, it wasn't even like a big thing on our end because he's been a coach. He's been a guy that you're constantly talking the game with and thinking X and O strategy. So it's obviously happy for Nate James, first and foremost, that Nate got the Austin Peay head coaching job, and incredibly happy for Nolan with this new opportunity here.
Yeah. So this being your first year out recruiting, as the lead guy, with Coach not being out on the recruiting trail this year, and then Nolan and Sewell going out with you, how different has that been? I mean, is your approach any different? I mean, are you talking to recruits any different? I mean, how's that been for you this summer?
Well, it's different because there's this obviously Duke basketball is such a well-known commodity, right? Part of why it's well-known is people know who Coach K is. And so naturally, one of the biggest questions is, how are you going to coach? What's going to be different? What's going to be the same? And so the biggest thing we try to do is make sure people understand, look, we're not going to come in and change everything about what's happening. I think it goes back to what I was saying, going to follow my instincts and follow our instincts. But Duke basketball does not need this makeover, these changes. We have a great thing going. We're going to keep it going. For me, it's my first time being out without Coach. I mean, obviously you've been out without him, but knowing that he's not being the guy, you feel a little bit extra responsibility, right? You want to bring in your first class. You want to make it a special one. We're going to lose, a good core of this team that's playing this year. So it's important to get off to the right start. We feel we've, can't talk about it, but we feel we've done that so far and excited to continue to build.
Yeah, definitely. And, with times being a bit different, I mean, I guess a lot different with recruiting. You're not only recruiting against different schools, now you're recruiting against a couple different pro leagues, guys going overseas. I mean, do you just stick to your guns with, the Duke brand being so strong that it makes more sense than, to just jump straight to the league with your recruits?
Dre, I would say for us, we feel if we do our job of identifying the right guys, we still feel like they should choose Duke.
Yeah.
That's the place they should come. And, with what we have to offer with our stage, with how we play, with the university itself, the education you can get, even if it's 1 year or even if it's 4 years. So it's on our job to identify the right guys, but we feel that we still can have terrific class, terrific teams, and obviously there's a lot of great options. That's how it should be. Mm-hmm. I think players should have as many options as possible. The pro options are great. There's a lot of great options, but for us, we still feel like this should be the best option for a lot of guys.
Yeah. And, NCAA kind of dropped a bomb this summer with NIL. How do you feel like that's changed the recruiting landscape, if at all?
Yeah, it's changed, no question. I think at this point there's still some unknowns, but for us, we want to be on the forefront in terms of being creative and helping our players as much as possible. One, with the education of understanding how to use their brand. Two, any opportunities that are there to be aggressive and to go after it. And then I think most importantly, how you set yourself up long term, which is what NIL allows you to do. I'm a little embarrassed because when I was a player, this never even crossed my mind. Yeah, It's like I don't even know how to explain it. We were just hooping, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you would say the same thing.
For sure.
And then as these last few years, you realize this should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm so happy for our players, for our future players, that they're able to profit from their name, image, and likeness, because it's a long time overdue. And, I think we're set up as well as anybody to not only handle it, but to be in a aggressive, creative mode going forward.
Yeah.
Would you say the same thing? When you were a player, were you thinking about this?
No, not honestly. I was just trying to get cream cheese with our bagels. We couldn't get the cream cheese. You guys, they could provide the bagels, but we had to get our own cream cheese. So that was our hurdle. But no, I mean, yeah, it is interesting. After I left Duke, I remember people would send me pictures all the time. It was this DirecTV ad, a sports ad, and my picture was on it. And they'd be like, "Oh, I saw you at this bar," and I'm like, I feel like I should make some money off of that, but just the way it was set up, this is not how it was. So, I'm excited for guys too. I think it'll go some interesting directions. And honestly, I think, I don't know if you agree or not, but I think it kind of helps schools, in terms of recruiting and maybe keeping guys another year or so, or keeping guys away from going the pro route, because you can say, hey, you'll be able to at least make some money, especially guys, where money is important, for their family. Sometimes guys where they come from, they need it, and so they feel like I gotta go pro. Maybe that offsets a little bit of that pressure that they're feeling.
Well, I think it goes back to having as many options as possible. Yeah. So it just opens up, this becomes even a better option with the financial flexibility and the opportunity you have to profit. So I think it's great. Like I said, I still think having the pro option is great as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm frankly not jealous of our guys, because it's never even thought about it before as a player. I'm not looking back, but I'm extremely happy for them. With this, and we're going to make sure we do everything we can to continue to help them.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous, man. I think I could have had a nice little car dealership sponsorship or something like that, But no, it's all good, man. I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, it's obviously still in its infancy, so I'm excited to see, how creative guys get with different sponsorship and things like that. I mean, I think one cool thing that's already come, I don't know if you've seen, but out at BYU, they had someone who did a deal, and all their walk-ons got scholarships. So I know there are a lot of old traditionalists that are shaking their fists at this, but I think it does a lot more good than harm, honestly. I
agree, and there are some opportunities that we're looking at, we're being creative with, and we're time will you'll see in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Duke's always on the forefront in terms of social media and things like that. So I'm interested to see how it all shakes out. So moving to this year's team, looking ahead, obviously a couple months away from the season started. how's it been, actually having a summer? I know last year you guys didn't get one with COVID and everything. So how's it been having the guys for the summer and being able to, kind of put in your system a little bit, for a couple months?
It has been great.
Yeah.
We missed it, right? I mean, last year's team really hurt us not having a summer and, frankly, really a fall. Mm-hmm. And so, you get a chance to know our guys on a personal level. Forget about the basketball piece for a second. Just being able to interact with them more, where, they're over at your house or you go grab some lunch or whatever it may be, talking after a practice.
Yep.
It's night and day. And so it makes you feel badly a little bit for how last year was. We weren't able to develop that. Mm-hmm. But with this group, it's been terrific. Our guys are all in. They get along really well. It's a versatile group. I think we can, we have bigs, we have smalls, we have versatility. We have the pieces, the chemistry. So we just need to continue to work on that.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that people outside of basketball don't really understand, like how important that stuff is. Because I look back on the summer before the 2010 season, and I wasn't there the whole summer, but there in August, and all that stuff we did, and not even like necessarily basketball. I remember we did that stuff with the Navy SEAL. We were outside and doing stuff like that, and running the Waduke Trail and stuff like that. That just builds a level of camaraderie, and like going through things with guys that isn't necessarily basketball, and knowing like, okay, I know John's got me, or I know Lance has got me. I think it helps immensely, and I think it really showed, in that 2010 year.
Well, look, skill work's important, right? And we do skill work a ton, and that's a big emphasis for us. Winning comes down to the trust and belief you have in one another. Yeah. And you're right, in 2010 we did have that. And because you get in these moments that are hard to simulate.
Yeah.
And so how do you practice that? I remember playing Baylor in the Elite Eight game. We're down 4 with 3, 4, 5 minutes left, and we need to stop. And, we practiced it over and over that year, being in situations a lot in practice and then some in games where we knew what we had to do.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that in a shorter time span? With the group we have this year, we are a younger group, a younger team, and that's why we're going. Part of it's doing hard things.
Yep,
what
absolutely.
You're talking about. So we're going to have a great fall, great preseason, and get ready. So by the time beginning of October rolls around, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's important, man, because I think it's important to know, to kind of learn how you react when things are difficult, right? Because everybody's good when everything's good. When shots are falling and whatever, everybody can be good. But, how do you react when, like you said, you're down 4 with 4 minutes left with a chance to go to the Final Four, or, you're in a national championship game essentially on the road against Butler, and, it's a one-possession game the whole second half. How are you performing then? How are you executing then? Are you talking? Are you still talking? Are you still executing what you want to do on defense and all that stuff? You see it. Everybody's watching it in the national championship game, but all that stuff is built way back when in the fall, in the summertime, and for you guys over 3 years, of being in the tournament and, getting knocked out in the first round, getting knocked out in the second round. And, it's just it's invaluable stuff, and stuff that's not really quantifiable, that ends up showing itself in tough games like that.
100%. So for our team this year, we've now had 2 years where our season's ended from COVID.
Yeah.
And so we're going to need to do we as a staff need to do a great job of simulating those situations in practice. And then obviously we're going to be battle tested in games, which will give us great experience going into the postseason.
How important is it, do you think, to this year's team to have some key contributors back? I know the last few years there's been a lot of roster turnover, and even this year you got a lot of roster turnover, but you got a guy in Wendell who's played big minutes for 2 years. You got Jeremy coming back for his second year. You got Joey Baker, who's a senior. How important have those guys been to kind of getting the younger guys up to speed?
Huge. They've been huge. They've all, they all went through a tough season last year. We all did together.
Yeah.
And so you need some of that where there's a different level of motivation and hunger. And all four of those guys you mentioned, Joey, Wendell, Mark, and Jeremy, have come back with a level of maturity, like I said, the hunger, and they've really set the tone for the rest of our guys. We have 4 freshmen and 2 graduate seniors, and Theo John and Bates Jones, and so they've all been terrific. They've all been coachable. Like I mentioned earlier, we have experience, we have youth, the versatility to go big or go small. We have 5 guys that can be on the floor that can be on the floor that all can shoot, handle, and pass. So we love this group, and those guys that you mentioned are incredibly important with setting the tone, especially in the beginning of the season.
Yeah. You mentioned the newcomers. What has been your impression just having them on campus for the last, I guess, month or so?
They're physically mature.
Yeah.
They're ready to play right away with their bodies. They're understanding the way that they need to play at this level with the physicality and the speed. But they all love to be in the gym.
Yeah.
They're gym rats. They're great teammates. They're coachable. We've loved these guys, and they're funny off the court.
Yeah.
They're funny guys and good personalities, but on the court they're serious and about their business. So it's been great to see.
Yeah. At Duke, we normally play a couple of big-time games against some really good teams earlier in the year, out of conference. Obviously, in conference, there's a bunch of big games. But especially, like, coming right out the gate and, playing at Kentucky and at Gonzaga, your first few games of the year, what are you looking to learn about your team or to get out of those games at the beginning of the year to, translate to the rest of the year?
Well, I think just to first and foremost, can we win a tough game?
Yeah.
Can we win a tough, neutral site game or game away from Cameron, which is terrific to put yourself in that situation. And then, look, no matter what, and you've seen this even with a veteran team, who you think you are at the beginning of the year is not who you end up being. Mm-hmm. And the season evolves. You evolve as a team, whether it be lineups or whether the style of play that you have. And so really it's getting a chance to learn about our group, learn about individuals, because we haven't played in an arena with fans. Like legitimately, we played with fans, but not a full arena in 2 years. Yeah, which is hard for me. I can't even believe that's the
crazy.
case.
It's crazy,
but it's true.
Yeah. So speaking of fans, I don't want to jinx it, but how excited are you, to have fans back in Cameron for this year? Because it's really, it was weird for me watching.
It was weirder for me.
Yeah, I'm sure it was more.
I
weird
promise
for you.
I promise you, a stranger walking out to an empty arena. Yeah. It really felt like it was a Twilight Zone. It really did. But extremely excited, right? And hopefully things continue to progress here, and we move in a better direction. But part of making this year special is having the Cameron Crazies, having our support from our family, from our friends in Cameron Indoor Stadium, on the road, wherever it may be. And so it's a huge part of what we do and who we are as a program. And so I could go on and on how excited I am to walk out here and to see a crowd.
Yeah. Well, you've got me excited about the year. I'm sure fans are excited to watch this team play. And thank you for coming on again. I won't ask for a few months. I don't want to get on your nerves too much. But, again, congratulations on being named head coach in waiting, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much. Hopefully everybody's just waiting on, edge of their seat for the third time we do this.
Yeah, for the third one when you make your guarantee.
Deal. Thanks, Joe.